I'm not saying I would have done what Rodney Hinton done, but I understand. Police shot his son in the back multiple times. What kind of rage do you think a parent would feel learning that the police had shot their son in the back? I would not have done that, but I understand. Hinton used his car to take a life, and the life of somebody who was not part of taking his son's life, but the level of anger and rage that he felt consumed him. I'm not saying I would have done it, but I understand. This is the rage that propelled thousands and thousands of us into the streets after George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And I'm not saying this is the way to get free. I'm not saying this is what other people need to do. I wouldn't have done it, but I understand.
The reaction to this Rodney Hinton story is absolutely insane yet predictable. And just like with the Karmelo Anthony case, a lot of influencers in the black community are once again purposely spreading lies and misinformation about this case. You see a lot of these large accounts with large followings. They are reporting that Rodney Hinton Jr. avenged his son by killing the cop that killed his son. And to a lot of people in that community, that sounds so cool. They're posting things like, Rodney Hinton Jr. is the realest motherfucker ever on earth, yo. Right? And they're all celebrating Rodney, but the reality is, that is a lie. Rodney Hinton did not kill the officer that killed his son. No, Rodney Hinton went and targeted the most vulnerable, actually retired officer that he could find. You see, the police chief brought Rodney Hinton and his family to his office. Rodney Hinton was in the building with the police that were actually involved in what happened with his son, and Rodney Hinton did nothing. He actually left that office, and instead of going after a regular police officer that I guess maybe could have fought back, he targeted a retired officer that was working traffic duty at a graduation. He basically went after a vulnerable target that couldn't defend themselves and mowed them down with his vehicle. And this is what a large portion of the black community is now celebrating, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, celebrating a killer that killed an innocent person that did not deserve to lose their lives. And this is like the second or third time they've celebrated something like this just within the last month or so. You guys have been watching the videos, you know what I'm talking about here. But their defense is, the main defense that they keep throwing out there is, oh, Rodney Hinton, he didn't have no criminal record before this. Rodney Hinton didn't have no criminal record before this. And for some reason, they believe that excuses what he did. Like, oh, he went and ran over and killed an innocent off-duty cop that was working at a graduation directing traffic. Oh, but he doesn't have a prior criminal record. I'll let him off. This is a good guy. Well, we see he's never gotten in trouble before. So the fact that he mowed over this officer, I guess we can overlook that. That's the defense they have. The didn't do nothings are out in full force, all saying, but he didn't have a criminal record. He didn't have no criminal record. Free that man. Like, I don't understand the logic there. Like, and it's the same thing they've been saying with Karmelo Anthony. He didn't have a criminal record. Who cares? You plunged your knife into a kid's chest and killed them. And in this situation, who cares if this guy doesn't have a criminal record? Look at what he did. He just took someone's life. He has a criminal record now. But, ladies and gentlemen, as always, you see the didn't do nothings. They will come out and they will say things like he didn't have a criminal record, and they will say it with their whole chest. They will say it with so much confidence that you just believe them and you don't even question anything. Well, that stuff doesn't work on me. It works on a lot of white people. It doesn't work on me. So I decided to look into things. I don't judge people for their past. I'm not really worried about Rodney Hinton's criminal record because I'm more worried about what he just did. But it turns out this guy does have a criminal record. Turns out he's been arrested for multiple things, including, but not limited to, aggravated menacing, DV, assault, aggravated robbery, all types of things. So this guy has a criminal record. I don't know why they're using that as their defense, but I guess it's just a talking point that they saw someone throw out there, so they just rode with it. And another thing I've been seeing is posts like this one. I'm here for Rodney Hinton's defense attorney, but I know this case is going to be biased in favor of the officer. Shaking my head. Like, what? I don't get it. What do you mean? The case is going to be biased? The case is going to be biased in favor of the officer? You mean the officer that got killed for no reason while working at a graduation? These people are so ignorant that in their warped brains, they think there's a case here. Shout out to the defense. I know they're going to try to work in the officer's favor as if there is a defense for what Rodney Hinton did. In these people's minds, it's like, well, they killed his son, so he had to do what he had to do. They think that's a defense in the court of law. They think the low impulse, ignorant responses that come out of their mouths when they commit crimes and do stupid things without thinking it through first, they think that is like some type of legal defense that will hold up in court. I mean, there is no mystery here when it comes to this case. We're not trying to solve any crime or anything like that. We know what happened. There is no mystery. Rodney Hinton does not have a defense. In fact, the only mystery when it comes to this case is what the hell Rodney Hinton's actual name even is. Because one thing you will find when you're dealing with cases, when you're dealing with portions of this like community, the ratchet ghetto portions, it's always hard, it's always confusing figuring out what people's names are. Because everyone has 3 different names, 3 different nicknames. Everyone's got 40 cousins. Some are play cousins, some are real cousins. Oh, you talking about Quavius? And when it comes to the Rodney Hinton case, none of his supporters can get his name right. Some of his biggest advocates, some of the biggest race baiters in this community, they're calling him a Rodney Hinton. And then the literal movement that they created behind this man that's gone viral on social media, the Free Rodney Hilton, Free Rodney Hilton Jr., like they created it, like all of these hashtags that went viral, this entire movement behind this man, and they misspelled his name in the movement. They already got t-shirts getting pressed right now that misspell this guy's last name. Everyone's calling him Rodney Hilton. So when covering this case, it gets really confusing. Like, okay, which one's Junior? Rodney Hinton, Hinton, Hilton, who's Ryan? It's like it gets confusing when you're dealing with these kind of cases, because when you're like, doing your research and going through everything that people are saying on social media, oftentimes the people screaming the loudest, the biggest supporters, can't get someone's name right. So this whole time, I'm like, wait, is the media wrong? Is this guy's name Rodney Hilton or is it Rodney Hinton? So apparently it's Rodney Hinton. And all of his biggest supporters don't even know his last name. They're just saying his last name wrong, just like they've been spelling Karmelo with a C when it comes to Carmelo Anthony. And I've been seeing them call him Karmelo, like with a W, like a marshmallow. It's just getting wild out there. But luckily, there still are some people out there that are speaking some sense. And I'm going to let you listen to one in just a moment. But first, if you guys appreciate these videos, if you support this channel, consider supporting and donating via Cash App or Super Thanks, or consider supporting in a free way, like liking the video, dropping a comment, sharing the video on social media, and subscribing if you haven't already. But with that being said, let's go ahead and roll this clip, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
Oh, black people, I know y'all not about to like what I'm going to say concerning the Rodney and Ryan Hinton situation. But when I tell y'all Rodney went out like a crash dummy behind his 18-year-old criminal son, what we first must recognize is Ryan brandished a weapon along with his 3 friends who possibly had weapons. We can't sit here and act like a young black man with 3 other young black men in a dangerous criminal area isn't alarming. Then you sitting in a stolen vehicle. What else are you doing in a stolen vehicle? How many crimes have you gotten away with? How many other people have you hurt and harmed in your spree of violence, Ryan? See, that's what Rodney didn't understand. A lot of the times our children be into the worst shit, but we don't want to accept it because then that will put the accountability on us as parents. I understand being mentally perturbed at the whole situation, Rodney, but you failed your son as a father. Because if he knew anything about the law, he would have knew. When they yelled out, he got a gun, I would have fell flat to my face and extended my hands to the ground. Everybody know that. Anybody who don't want to be hurt by the police, they know to put their hands behind their head, drop down to their knees, and comply. I'm not in support of this movement. I will not be screaming justice for Ryan or Rodney. And Rodney deserves what he about to get in the court of law.
You know, it's always funny because when I point out that a certain portion of the black community feels this way or they think this way, I always get a lot of white people upset at me. White people who live sheltered lives, who aren't around black people, who aren't around any other people but rich white people, right? You know, but I'm like the exact opposite. I'm around everyone. In fact, I'm around more like black and Hispanic and Asian people than I am white people, right? So you always get white people upset at you when you point out these problems or issues, or you just make these observations. But black people will tell you the same thing themselves. There's a reason why he had to start out the video saying that he knows black people are going to disagree or maybe be mad about what he's saying, because he knows what the general thought is or the general way of thinking is in a large portion of that community. And there is a pressure in that community for everyone to kind of think the same or have the same viewpoints, especially when it comes to situations like the Rodney Hinton situation, right? Everyone has to fall in line and have, you know, the one opinion that, oh, we got to back up this guy, white people bad, or else they'll call you a traitor, a coon, a sellout, what have you. So there's definitely a pressure in that community to kind of force people into supporting nonsense like Rodney Hinton and Carmelo Anthony. And if you don't, you're kind of disowned or shunned. And there's plenty of black people that will tell you that is the case for sure. I think a lot of people are making the mistake when they watch these videos that I'm making. They're making the mistake of assuming that a lot of what I'm saying is just my opinions about how I feel about this, or how I think these people feel, or how I, feel about this, think about this, or how I think other people feel, or how other people think. But no, these aren't opinions. I didn't wake up one day and was like, hey, I think this and I feel this way. No, these are honest observations, right? I'm not just pulling thoughts out of the side of my neck or out of my bunghole. You know what I mean? No, these are honest observations. And we have plenty of evidence that suggests that everything that I'm saying is true and right. You know, this community, they put on full display how they feel. They're not hiding their feelings when it comes to these cases, or when it comes to cases like the ones that we discuss. So people keep making the mistake of, oh my God, Cinema Shogun, why would you say that? Why do you feel that way? This isn't how I feel. This is how they feel. And they're making it very clear how they feel. So I don't understand why people don't put two and two together and understand that. This is not me, showing you, look, this is what I think about what's going on. No, this is me saying, hey, this is what's going on. This is how these people feel. This is how they're reacting. These are the things they're saying, which is why I provide examples. And the examples I provide are just a few quick examples. If you don't believe me, if you think that what I'm saying is wrong, go ahead and take a walk down the mean streets of social media. And you tell me, go ahead and take a walk down the mean streets in real life and tell me that I'm wrong. But with that being said, we're going to continue watching these people celebrate criminals, and I'll continue calling it out. For now, though, you guys let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.